Have you ever looked at someone, so calm, so grounded, and wondered what's really happening inside their mind? Let me tell you a truth that might surprise you. Taurus people aren't just stubborn. They're not just slow to change. And they're definitely not difficult just for the sake of it. In fact, what you call stubbornness might actually be their secret form of emotional wisdom. Beneath that quiet smile, there's a storm of feelings. Beneath their silence, there's a mind working with deep patience and strength. You see, Taurus isn't fighting the world. They're protecting themselves from it. They know who they are. And they won't let anyone, not even you, change that. But why? Why are they so impossible to control? Why do they resist when everyone else gives in? Today, we're not just talking about astrology. We're diving into psychology, behavior, and the inner world of Taurus. And trust me, by the end of this video, you might not just understand Taurus better. You might discover something powerful about yourself too. If you're ready to explore the hidden reasons behind their unshakable nature, stay with me until the end. And hey, if you enjoy deep conversations like this, don't forget to subscribe, hit like, and share this video with someone who needs it. Now, let's begin. Have you ever noticed how some people choose silence over argument? How they quietly step back, instead of stepping into a fight? That's Taurus. But don't mistake their silence for weakness. That silence is their power. They know when to speak. And more importantly, when not to. Imagine this. You're in a heated conversation. Voices raised. Emotions high. Everyone's trying to prove their point. But then there's one person, sitting quietly, watching, not saying a word. That's when you know, they're not ignoring the moment. They're controlling it. Taurus understands that reacting emotionally gives control away. So instead, they withdraw. Observe. Process. Their silence is not absence. It's strategy. Think about how often we react too quickly. Say things we regret. Taurus doesn't play that game. They teach us the power of pausing, of protecting our energy. Sometimes, silence can speak louder than any argument. And that's a strength most people underestimate. Next time you meet a Taurus in silence, ask yourself, are they avoiding you? Or are they protecting their peace? Now, let's go deeper. A Taurus doesn't give their heart easily. Emotional security comes first. They won't open up just because you're curious. They need to feel safe. Completely safe. Have you ever wondered why someone pulls back just when you think you're getting close? Maybe they're a Taurus. To them, vulnerability is sacred. It's not given lightly. They observe you. Watch how you react to their distance. Are you patient? Do you respect their pace? Or do you push harder? Because if you push, they retreat. But if you respect their boundaries, one day, without warning, they'll open a door you didn't know existed. And what's behind that door? A heart that loves with quiet intensity. A soul that trusts deeply, but only once. Let me ask you. In your own life, do you let people in too fast? Do you share your emotions before someone earns your trust? Taurus teaches us patience in connection. They show us that protecting our inner world isn't cold. It's wise. Maybe next time, instead of apologizing for being slow to trust, you should be proud of it. Now here's something that might challenge how you see confidence. Taurus doesn't chase approval. They're not scrolling for likes. Not counting comments. They validate themselves from within. Imagine waking up in the morning, looking in the mirror, and thinking, I'm enough. Just as I am. That's Taurus energy. They don't need to impress anyone. They don't need to change to be accepted. Their confidence is quiet but unshakable. You won't hear them bragging. You won't see them showing off. But deep inside, they know who they are. And that's more powerful than any public applause. Have you ever made a decision, not because you wanted it, but because others expected it? Taurus doesn't do that. They remind us that living for approval is a trap. And once you fall in, it's hard to climb out. Taurus stays free because they choose themselves every single day. They are their own validation, their own reason. And in a world that constantly tells us who to be, that's rare. That's priceless. And finally, picture this. A Taurus, after an argument, doesn't yell, doesn't post about it. They disappear for a while. Not to punish you, but to process. Taurus needs solitude like others need air. It's how they heal, how they think, how they come back stronger. When life hits hard, they withdraw. Quietly, calmly. Not to avoid the pain, but to sit with it, to understand it. Have you ever given yourself permission to step back from the noise and just feel? Taurus does that naturally. They remind us that healing isn't loud. Growth doesn't always announce itself. Sometimes, the most powerful transformation happens in silence. So, when a Taurus pulls away, don't take it personally. Respect their space. Let them return when they're ready. And when they do, know that you've been allowed back into a space most people never get to see. In your own life, when was the last time you chose silence over reaction? When did you last sit with your pain, instead of running from it? Taurus isn't just a zodiac sign. They're a mirror, showing us the strength in stillness, the power in patience, and the wisdom in trusting yourself. Stay with me, because there's so much more to discover about this incredible sign, and about the quiet strength that lives in all of us. Have you ever felt trapped in a situation where you didn't want to say yes, but you felt like you had to? Maybe you didn't want to disappoint someone. Maybe you thought saying no would hurt them. But deep down, every part of you wanted to refuse. Now imagine a Taurus in that same situation. Do you know what they would do? They'd say no. Calmly. Quietly. Without guilt. Because Taurus doesn't believe in emotional debt. They don't accept help that comes with strings attached. They don't do favors just to fit in. To them, relationships should feel free. Giving should feel like a choice, not a transaction. That's why Taurus is so careful about who they let into their life. If someone tries to offer them love or friendship as a way to gain control, they step back. Not out of fear, but out of wisdom. They protect their emotional freedom like it's gold. And maybe we should too. Think about your own life. How many times have you said yes when you really wanted to say no? How many times have you accepted something, knowing it would come back as a demand later? Taurus reminds us, love given freely is love worth trusting. Anything else is just control in disguise. Now imagine someone quietly drawing a line around their soul. Not to keep the world out, but to protect what's within. That's Taurus. They believe boundaries are not walls. They are acts of self-respect. When they say no, it's not rejection. It's a reminder that their peace matters. Their heart matters. Their inner world matters. And if someone can't respect that, Taurus won't argue. They'll simply walk away. Have you ever let someone cross a line just to avoid a confrontation? Maybe you let them speak to you in a way that hurt. Maybe you let them drain your energy because saying no felt uncomfortable. Taurus doesn't do that. They don't apologize for protecting their peace. They show us that boundaries are not selfish. They are necessary. Saying no is not cruel. It's honest. And honesty is the first step toward real connection. Now, picture this. A Taurus sitting quietly in a busy room. The world is rushing around them. People are pulling, pushing, demanding decisions. But the Taurus stays still. Not because they're frozen, but because they're grounded. Pressure doesn't move them. It anchors them. While others react, Taurus stays centered. They respond when they're ready, not before. Have you ever felt rushed into making a decision? Felt like you had to choose quickly, just to satisfy someone else's urgency? Taurus teaches us that pressure isn't a reason to move. It's a reason to pause. Next time someone demands an answer from you, remember the Taurus. Take a breath. Feel your ground. You're allowed to slow down. You're allowed to think. You're allowed to choose your own moment to act. Taurus isn't resisting the world. They're refusing to be rushed. And that's a lesson we all need. And now, imagine someone who doesn't chase excitement. Someone who isn't looking for the next thrill, the next drama, the next big thing. Instead, they find comfort in simplicity. In steady routines. In things that feel like home. That's Taurus. While the world chases speed, they seek stability. Not because they fear change, but because they know peace isn't found in chaos. It's found in consistency. Have you ever felt like your life was spinning too fast? Like every day was a rush from one moment to the next? Taurus reminds us to slow down. To build routines that feel safe. To find comfort in small joys. A morning coffee. A quiet walk. A favorite meal. These aren't meaningless habits. They are anchors for the soul. Taurus teaches us that stability isn't boring. It's healing. Predictability isn't a weakness. It's a strength. In a world that never stops moving, Taurus shows us how to stand still and breathe. They aren't afraid of missing out. They aren't driven by fear of falling behind. Because they understand, happiness isn't out there somewhere in the rush. It's right here. In this moment. In this simple, peaceful breath. So, next time life feels overwhelming, ask yourself, can you create a little Taurus energy in your world? Can you protect your peace, set your boundaries, refuse the pressure? And find comfort in routine? Because maybe, what you're looking for isn't more speed. It's more stillness. And now, we're about to step into the heart of what makes Taurus so powerful, and so impossible to control. Because in the next part of this journey, I'll reveal 3 truths that not only challenge common beliefs about Taurus, but might just change the way you see authenticity, freedom, and emotional strength forever. Trust me, you don't want to miss what comes next. Have you ever noticed how some people need physical comfort to feel emotionally safe? Maybe it's the way they wrap themselves in their favorite blanket after a hard day. Or how they light a certain candle when they feel stressed. For Taurus, these little rituals aren't just habits. They're lifelines. Taurus connects deeply to the physical world. But not in a materialistic way like most people think. They find emotional balance through sensory experiences. The softness of fabric. The warmth of sunlight. The smell of freshly baked bread. These are not small details. They are their emotional anchors. When life feels chaotic, Taurus returns to what feels good, familiar, and safe. They teach us that sometimes, healing doesn't start in the mind. It starts in the body. So next time you're overwhelmed, don't just overthink. Touch something soft. Breathe in something soothing. Slow down. Taurus reminds us that the body holds the wisdom the mind forgets. Now imagine a world where everyone tries to fit in. Where people copy trends. Change their voice to sound like someone else. Wear clothes that don't reflect who they are, just to feel accepted. Taurus walks in the opposite direction. They refuse to be anyone but themselves. They don't fake their personality to gain followers. They don't hide their true desires to please a crowd. For Taurus, authenticity isn't a goal. It's a non-negotiable. They know that changing themselves for the outside world means losing who they are inside. Have you ever worn a mask just to feel safe? Have you ever pretended to enjoy something just to avoid judgment? Taurus challenges you to stop, to take off the mask, to choose truth over approval. They don't live for applause. They live for self-respect. They know that true belonging starts when you belong to yourself first. And that's a lesson most of us forget. Think about promises. Think about words. People say a lot of things. But how often do those words turn into action? Taurus doesn't fall for promises. They measure people by what they do, not what they say. Actions are real. Words can be beautiful lies. Taurus knows this. That's why they observe more than they listen. They watch how you show up when no one's watching. They value consistency over grand gestures. In their world, trust is not built in a day. It's built over time, through small, steady acts. Maybe you've been disappointed by people who said all the right things, but never followed through. Maybe you've felt hurt because someone promised forever and then walked away. Taurus would tell you, stop trusting promises. Trust patterns. Look at the people who show up for you without needing to be asked. Look at those who do what they say. And be that person, too. Because reliability isn't just something Taurus expects. It's something they live by. And in doing so, they remind us that love isn't a speech. It's a daily choice. Now, let's pause. Look at your life. Do you chase drama? Do you feel restless when things get too quiet? Taurus doesn't. They avoid chaos like it's poison. They crave inner stability more than outer excitement. While many people think happiness is found in the next adventure, Taurus knows that real peace comes from within. They're not looking for adrenaline. They're building calm. In relationships, they're not chasing butterflies. They're nurturing trust. In work, they're not gambling for overnight success. They're building step by step. This doesn't mean they lack passion. It means their passion is steady, not explosive. They show us that there's strength in consistency. That we don't need to run to feel alive. We can stand still and still grow. Ask yourself, how often do you confuse excitement with happiness? How often do you mistake chaos for passion? Taurus challenges that idea. They teach that emotional balance is worth more than fleeting thrills. That grounding yourself is not giving up on life, it's learning how to live it fully. And maybe, just maybe, what your heart needs isn't more adventure. It's more peace. More moments of stillness where you can finally hear your own thoughts. Where you can feel safe in your own skin. Because Taurus knows, when your soul feels like home, no storm outside can shake you. And we're not done yet. Because in the final part of this journey, I'll reveal the 3 deepest truths about Taurus. The ones people rarely talk about. The ones that explain why they are not just impossible to control, but also impossible to replace. Get ready. What's coming next may challenge everything you thought you knew about strength, love, and freedom. Have you ever felt someone watching you quietly, not judging, just observing? Noticing things about you, even things you didn't notice about yourself? That's how Taurus connects to the world. They don't rush to trust. They're selective. Very selective. You might think they're distant. Maybe even cold. But it's not rejection. It's caution. Before they let someone into their inner world, they need time. Time to observe, time to feel, time to know if the connection is real. They're not trying to push people away. They're trying to protect their peace. Imagine a Taurus like a garden behind a tall gate. From the outside, you might see glimpses of beauty. But the gate doesn't open easily. And when it finally does, you realize why. Everything inside is precious. Vulnerable. Worth protecting. That's how Taurus treats their energy. And maybe you should too. Think about how often you open your heart too fast. How many people you've let in who didn't deserve it. Taurus teaches us that it's not cold to be careful. It's wise. Because some people don't come to love your heart. They come to control it. Now, ask yourself, how do you decide who you trust? Do you let people close just because they ask? Taurus waits. Watches. Chooses. They remind us that trust is a gift, not a guarantee. And when it comes to safety, for Taurus, it's everything. Emotional safety. Mental safety. Even physical safety. They don't take risks with their heart. They don't jump into situations that feel unstable. To them, feeling safe isn't optional. It's necessary. It's the foundation of every choice they make. And if something threatens that feeling, they step back. Not out of fear, but because they respect their own well-being. Have you ever forced yourself to stay in a situation that felt wrong, just to avoid disappointing others? Have you ignored that quiet voice inside you, the one telling you to walk away? Taurus doesn't ignore that voice. They trust it. They know that no relationship, no opportunity, no promise is worth losing their inner peace. They teach us that you don't have to justify your need for safety. It's enough that you feel it. Next time something doesn't feel right, remember this: your comfort matters. Your stability matters. And sometimes, the bravest thing you can do is walk away quietly. Let's talk about space. Not physical distance, but emotional space. Mental space. Taurus guards that space like it's sacred. They need time alone. Time to recharge. Time to reconnect with themselves. It's not that they don't love you. It's that they need to feel whole before they can give you their best. Have you ever felt guilty for wanting time alone? Like you had to explain why you needed silence? Taurus doesn't feel that guilt. They know that solitude isn't rejection. It's survival. Their personal space is where they heal. Where they think clearly. Where they breathe. And when someone tries to invade that space too soon, too loudly, too forcefully, Taurus doesn't argue. They retreat. They build walls, not out of anger, but out of necessity. They teach us that guarding your peace isn't being distant. It's being responsible for your own energy. So next time you crave silence, don't apologize. Embrace it. Next time you need space, don't explain. Protect it. Your soul needs rest, just like your body needs sleep. And have you ever felt rushed to make a decision? Pressured to say yes before you were ready? Taurus doesn't respond to someone else's urgency. If you push them, they stop. If you tell them to hurry, they slow down. Their rhythm is their power. They don't move until they feel ready. And when they do move, it's with confidence. They remind us that decisions made under pressure rarely feel right. Rushed choices often lead to regret. Taurus listens to their inner timing. They trust that if something's meant for them, it won't require panic. It won't require rushing. It will come when they're ready to receive it. In your own life, how often do you let others control your pace? Do you say yes? Just because you're afraid of missing an opportunity? Taurus would say, if you're afraid of missing it, it probably wasn't meant for you. Slow down. Breathe. Trust your timing. Their patience isn't laziness. It's wisdom. And it protects them from being led down the wrong path by other people's demands. Taurus shows us that the most important decisions in life should never be made on someone else's schedule. Because when you choose from a place of pressure, you're choosing fear, not freedom. And remember, the more someone pushes you, the more reason you have to pause. In these quiet, steady, grounded lessons, Taurus reveals the secret to their strength. They don't react. They respond. They don't chase. They choose. They don't obey. They listen to themselves. And now, as we move closer to the final part of this journey, get ready. Because the last 3 truths about Taurus are the deepest, the most vulnerable, and perhaps the most controversial. Stay with me. What you're about to hear might change how you understand not just Taurus, but yourself. Have you ever known someone who just refuses to explain themselves? Someone who simply trusts their gut, no matter how many opinions surround them? That's Taurus. They trust their instincts in a way that most people forget. While others ask everyone for advice, while others seek validation from friends, family, even strangers, Taurus listens quietly to their own inner voice. And when that voice says no, it's a no. No argument. No apology. Think about your own life. How many times have you ignored your instincts? How often have you said yes just because you thought others knew better? Taurus teaches us something powerful. You know yourself better than anyone else. Your body senses when something feels wrong. Your heart knows when a path isn't meant for you. But life gets noisy. People's opinions get loud. And sometimes, we stop listening to ourselves. Taurus doesn't. They believe their inner compass is sacred. And it's not arrogance. It's self-trust. They don't move unless it feels right inside. They don't follow trends. They follow truth. Their own truth. And maybe that's what makes them impossible to control. Because how do you control someone who refuses to silence their own soul? And now, here's what might be the deepest reason of all. Taurus sees freedom and authenticity as non-negotiable. It's not just what they want. It's who they are. Taurus cannot be what you expect them to be. They cannot live according to your plan. Not because they're trying to rebel, but because living someone else's life would feel like death inside. They don't fake happiness. They don't hide their sadness. They don't pretend to fit in when every part of them wants to walk away. Taurus lives from the inside out. What they think, what they feel, and how they act must align. If those things are out of sync, they can't function. They can't pretend. Because to a Taurus, pretending is betrayal. Not of others, but of themselves. Have you ever worn a mask for so long that you forgot who you were underneath? Have you ever sacrificed your own peace just to make someone else comfortable? Taurus refuses to do that. They choose authenticity, even when it's uncomfortable. Even when it costs them relationships. Even when it means walking alone. Because to Taurus, freedom is not a goal. It's their nature. Their identity. And the moment someone tries to control them, is the moment Taurus chooses to walk away. Quietly. Calmly. Completely. That's why no one can control a Taurus. Because they're not fighting you. They're protecting themselves. Their peace. Their truth. Their soul. And once you understand that, you'll never see their silence, their stubbornness, or their distance the same way again. So maybe the real question isn't why Taurus is so impossible to control. The real question is, why are we so quick to control ourselves? Why do we silence our instincts? Why do we abandon our truth? Taurus shows us what's possible when you choose to live as yourself, without apology. And now, we've reached the end of this journey. But not the end of the lesson. Because Taurus isn't just a zodiac sign. It's a reminder. A mirror. Reflecting back to you the quiet power of trusting yourself. The hidden strength in choosing your own path. And the peace that comes when you stop asking for permission to be who you are. If today's video made you pause, if you felt even a small part of yourself waking up, then let that feeling grow. And if you see yourself in these words, or know someone who needs to hear this, share this video with them. Subscribe to this channel if you're ready for more stories like this. Stories that don't just explain astrology, but help you understand yourself. Because in future videos, we'll explore more signs, more truths, and more hidden parts of the human soul. Until then, stay grounded. Stay honest. And never let the world control the light inside you. See you in the next video.